Mira stood outside the tall silver building, her heart beating fast as the doors opened in front of her. The company was famous across 3-star systems, known for its advanced technology and strict standards. Almost everyone inside was an alien. Humans were rare here, and she knew that her clothes were simple compared to the bright and stylish outfits most aliens wore. Still, she tried to look confident as she stepped into the huge lobby. The lobby itself was beautiful. Lights floated in the air, soft music played gently, and workers rushed past with holographic tablets. Mira held her small bag close and walked toward the main desk, where a tall alien receptionist sat. The receptionist had glassy blue skin, sharp eyes, and long white hair, tied neatly behind her. She glanced at Mira with surprise. Then, amusement. Lyra leaned back in her chair and stared openly. "Is this a joke?" she said loudly. Several aliens nearby turned to look. "You came to a job interview dressed like that?" Mira felt heat rise to her cheeks, but she kept her voice calm. "Yes. I am here for the technical assistant position." Lyra let out a strange laugh. "Your outfit looks like it came from a human museum. Do humans really still wear things like this?" She pointed at Mira's simple shirt and plain trousers. "Laugh taties, with the 17 tenches, within tea cherry." Lyra let out a strange laugh. "This is a high-status company. At least try to look modern." Mira lowered her eyes. She had no money for expensive clothes. She had saved for months just to travel to this building. But she knew saying that would not help. Instead, she simply said, "I understand. Can you please tell me where to wait?" Lyra rolled her eyes but typed something on her desk screen. "Sit there until someone calls you. And please try not to touch anything. We do not want old-fashioned human items damaging our systems." Mira walked to the waiting area quietly, though her heart hurt at the way Lyra spoke to her. She sat down and tried to breathe slowly. She had come a long way for this chance. She wanted to prove that a human could still be useful in a galaxy full of advanced species. While she waited, she noticed something strange. A small panel near the wall kept flickering. The screen flashed on and off, and the system looked slow. The aliens nearby seemed annoyed, but ignored it. Mira tilted her head. The design of the panel was old by alien standards but familiar to her. Humans had used similar systems many years ago. She walked closer and examined it. There were small errors in the wiring, probably caused by age. She pulled out a tiny tool from her bag. It was the only tool she owned, something she had carried since childhood. She gently opened the panel and adjusted 2 connectors. The light stopped flickering instantly. Lyra saw her and stood up quickly. "Hey, what are you doing?" she shouted. "You cannot touch company equipment." Mira stepped back. The panel was failing. "I just fixed it." Lyra walked over and checked the screen. Her eyebrows lifted slightly when she saw the performance had improved. But she still crossed her arms. "You should not act like a technician when you are not hired. Sit down." Mira nodded and quietly returned to her seat. She held her tool again, turning it slowly in her fingers. She tried not to think about how embarrassing this day had already become. A moment later, the entrance doors opened again. Everyone in the lobby suddenly straightened. Even Lyra fixed her posture. A tall, human man walked in. His presence was strong and respectful, and he carried himself with quiet authority. This was Commander Eric, the CEO of the entire company. Humans rarely reach such high positions in alien-controlled systems, but Eric had earned respect through skill and leadership. Eric spotted the broken panel immediately and walked toward it. "Finally functioning again," he said softly. "It has been giving trouble for days." His eyes moved around the lobby. "Who repaired this?" "Every paired. Every paired." "Who repaired this?" Lyra hesitated. Mira looked down, unsure if she should say anything. But Eric's sharp eyes landed on her. He walked closer, and studied Mira's simple clothes, but his expression stayed neutral. "Did you repair this system?" Mira stood up slowly. "Yes, sir. I saw the problem and fixed it. I only adjusted the connectors." Eric checked the panel himself and nodded with clear approval. "Good work, efficient, and fast." He turned to Lyra. Was she interfering without permission? Lyra opened her mouth, ready to complain, but Eric continued speaking before she could answer. Interference is not the issue when someone solves a problem without causing damage. He looked at Mira again. "What is your name?" "Mira," she said softly. "What position are you here to apply for?" "Technical assistant." Eric did not ask anything else. He simply said, "Hire her. Right now." Every alien in the lobby froze. Lyra blinked in shock. "Sir? Without the full interview process?" She just arrived." Eric nodded firmly. "Her skills are clear. And skills matter more than the way someone looks or dresses." He glanced at Mira again. "Especially when someone shows initiative and caution at the same time." Mira felt her breath catch. She had imagined this moment so many times. But in her dreams, she had gone through long interviews and challenges. She never expected a direct decision like this. Lyra lowered her eyes as she processed the order. "Yes, sir. I will prepare her papers." Eric gave Mira a small smile. "Welcome to the company. Report to the training floor in 1 hour." Mira nodded slowly, still shocked. "Thank you, sir." Eric walked away with his usual calm, and the lobby returned to its busy movement. But the workers whispered among themselves. A human hired so quickly was unusual. Some looked curious, others doubtful, but no one said anything directly. Mira followed Lyra to a side desk, where the receptionist prepared the hiring documents. Lyra's voice was quieter now. She avoided Mira's eyes. "You are lucky," Lyra said, handing over a digital pad. "Commander Eric rarely makes immediate decisions." Mira nodded politely. "I will work hard." Lyra hesitated. "You fix the panel fast. Faster than our technicians. How did you know exactly what was wrong?" "1." Mira shrugged gently. "My family used to repair old human technology. Many alien systems were built on early designs created by humans. I learned the basics when I was young." Lyra did not reply, but she looked thoughtful. She seemed less hostile now, though her voice still carried traces of pride. After the paperwork was complete, Mira walked toward the training floor. She looked around as she went. The building was full of beautiful alien architecture. There were bright murals, floating glass bridges, and machines that moved on their own. But Mira noticed something else. Several panels had the same slow performance as the one in the lobby. Many systems needed attention. When she reached the training area, she met other new workers. Most of them were aliens, tall, colorful, confident. They noticed her immediately. A few whispered behind their hands. Mira felt the familiar sting in her chest, but kept her focus on the instructions given by the trainer. During the first hour of lessons, Mira stayed quiet and listened carefully. She answered questions politely and kept her focus strong. The others ignored her at first. But when the trainer asked a complex question about old system pathways that no one else could answer, Mira spoke up. Her explanation was simple, clear, and correct. The trainer raised his eyebrows. "Interesting. Most new employees struggle with that question." Mira gave a small smile. "I studied many old pathways because my family used to fix similar systems." The other trainees turned toward her with new curiosity. A few seemed impressed, though no one spoke openly yet. During a break, one alien trainee approached her, a small creature with soft scales and bright green eyes. "Human," he said gently. "You speak clearly, and you explain well. Maybe you can help me understand this circuit later?" His voice was shy but respectful. Mira's eyes brightened. "Of course, I will help you anytime." The rest of the day passed in a steady flow. Mira practiced on real machines and solved tasks quickly. The trainer watched her with growing approval. She did not boast or show off. She simply worked with calm confidence. When training ended, Mira walked back to the lobby. Lyra was still at her desk. She glanced over as Mira passed. For the first time, her voice did not carry mockery. "You finished for the day?" Lyra asked quietly. "Yes, thank you," Mira replied. Lyra hesitated. "Your clothes still look old. But they do not matter as much as I thought. You work well." "Maybe." She paused, choosing her words carefully. "Maybe I judged too fast." Mira smiled softly. "It's okay. I understand." Lyra looked away, embarrassed. But there was no hostility in her expression now, only curiosity. As Mira stepped outside the building, the stars above shone bright. She lifted her face to the sky and breathed deeply. For the first time in a long while, she felt hope. She had a real job, a real chance, and a real place to grow. She did not know that challenges were waiting ahead. She did not know that soon, the entire company would face a dangerous system failure. And she did not yet know that she would stand in the center of it, proving her true worth. But for now, she walked home with a calm heart, believing that maybe, just maybe, her future was finally beginning. Mira arrived early the next morning, feeling a mixture of excitement and nervousness. The company halls were quieter at this hour, and the soft blue lights along the walls made the place feel peaceful. She held her small bag close as she walked toward the training floor. She wanted to learn everything she could. She wanted to prove that Commander Eric's trust was not a mistake. She was about to enter the training room when she heard a low alarm echo through the building. The lights flickered once, then twice. Workers around her stopped where they stood. A few exchanged worried glances. Mira felt her stomach tighten. Something was wrong. The alarm repeated, louder this time, and a voice came through the speakers. "Attention all staff. We are experiencing unexpected system instability. Please stay calm and remain at your stations." Aliens rushed around her, talking quickly in confused voices. Mira stepped aside as the trainer approached, looking tense. "Mira," he said, "training is cancelled for now. There is a system issue in the central core. The engineers are already working on it." She nodded, but she could see the worry on his face. The system core was the heart of the entire building. If something went wrong there, everything could collapse. Suddenly, the lights went off completely. The entire building fell into darkness. Mira heard gasps and the sound of equipment shutting down at the same moment. Then emergency lights switched on, bathing the hall in a red glow. A moment later, the speaker crackled again. "All main systems offline. Engineers to the central core immediately." Mira felt her breath catch. She knew she was new. She knew she was supposed to stay out of the way. But something felt familiar about the shutdown pattern. It reminded her of an old human system failure she had studied many times during her childhood. She tightened her grip on her bag and made a quick decision. Instead of going back to the lobby like the others, she turned and headed toward the central core. She moved fast but quietly, her footsteps echoing in the dim hall. Workers in bright uniforms ran past her, none of them noticing the small human girl walking toward the room where the crisis waited. When she reached the entrance to the core, security guards blocked the door. One of them raised a hand. "This area is restricted. Return to the safe zone." Mira stepped forward politely. "I understand, but I think I can help." The guard frowned. "You are new. You cannot enter." Before she could say more, she heard a familiar voice behind her. Lyra came running around the corner, breathing hard. She looked flustered and afraid. When she saw Mira, she stopped suddenly. "What are you doing here?" Lyra asked, her voice shaking slightly. "This place is dangerous right now." "I think I know what is happening," Mira said softly. "The shutdown pattern looks like a cascade failure from old systems. Many human systems used to crash in the same way. Lyra blinked, confused but listening. Before the guard could speak again, a group of engineers rushed out of the core room. They looked tired, frustrated, and panicked. Their leader shook his head. "We cannot find the cause," he said to the guards. "We patched every pathway and reset the main line, but nothing works. The system keeps shutting itself down." Mira stepped forward. "May I look?" The engineers turned toward her in surprise. The leader narrowed his eyes. "Who are you?" "Mira," she said. "I am new, but I have worked with old human systems. The pattern looks familiar." The engineers exchanged doubtful looks. One of them laughed under his breath. Another shook his head. But the leader hesitated. Lyra swallowed her pride and spoke suddenly. "She fixed the lobby console yesterday." "In seconds." The engineers turned to her, surprised. The leader sighed. "Fine. We are losing time. Let her see. But one mistake, and she leaves." Mira nodded gratefully. She entered the core room, her heart pounding. The moment she stepped inside, she felt the heat. The machines around her hummed weakly, their lights flickering. Screens glowed with error messages in multiple languages. The air smelled of hot metal. She walked toward the main console, studying the pattern of failures. It was exactly what she feared. The system was not broken because of alien technology. It was breaking because of small, old pathways deep in the system that no one had updated in years. Some of those pathways were based on ancient human designs. She knelt beside a metal panel on the floor and opened it gently. Wires and connectors lay inside, many of them outdated. The engineers had probably ignored this part because it looked old and unimportant. Mira smiled softly. Old and unimportant was what she understood best. She touched one of the connectors and felt a tiny vibration. "The fault is here," she said calmly. The engineers crowded behind her. "That section is inactive," one of them said. "It cannot cause a full shutdown." "It can," Mira said, "if it loops into a dormant system." This type of connector was used in early hybrid designs. It interacts with the main core when stressed. You cannot restart the system until you repair this. The engineers looked at each other. The leader knelt down beside her. "You are certain?" "Yes," Mira said. "Please pass me a stabilizer." The leader handed her the tool. Mira worked quickly, adjusting the wires and lining up the connectors. Her fingers moved with confidence, and the vibration stopped. The error messages on the screen above her began to fade one by one. Someone gasped. Another engineer whispered, "She did it. She actually did it." But the shutdown had caused damage elsewhere. Mira stood up. "The system will restart, but it will not stay stable unless I fix 2 other old pathways. I know where they are." The engineers followed her through the maze-like room as she checked old panels, replaced broken wires, and reset forgotten pathways. She worked without fear, without hesitation. Every motion was careful and precise. Half an hour later, she stepped back from the final panel. "All right," she said quietly. "Restart the core." The leader pressed the command. The room grew silent for a moment. Then a deep hum filled the air as the central core lit up with bright white light. One by one, screens turned green. The humming grew stronger, steadier. The system was alive again. The engineers stared, amazed. One of them said, "That should have taken a full team." 6 hours. Another whispered, "How did she know any of this?" The leader looked at Mira with wide eyes. "You saved the company." Mira shook her head. "I only repaired things that were forgotten." Lyra stood in the doorway, stunned. She had watched everything quietly, unable to believe what she was seeing. Mira's simple clothes, her soft voice, her humble attitude, it all hit a mind sharper than anyone expected. Before anyone could say more, The door behind them opened. Commander Eric entered the room. His expression was calm but focused. I heard the system restarted. What happened? The engineers stepped aside, revealing Mira. Eric looked at her for a long moment. Did you do this? Mira swallowed. Yes, sir. The problem was in the oldest pathways. I repaired them and reset the system. Eric walked toward the main console and studied the readings. Everything was steady. The core was functioning at full strength. He turned back to Mira, his eyes warm, with respect. You did more than repair the system, he said. You prevented a full shutdown. If the core had failed completely, the company would have lost years of work. Mira looked down. I only did what I could. Eric stepped forward and placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. What you did was extraordinary. Ender. The engineers nodded in agreement. Lyra lowered her head, ashamed of how she had treated Mira before. Eric addressed the room. From this moment, Mira will work with the engineering division directly. She will have full access to any system she needs. The engineers seemed relieved and impressed. Lyra remained quiet, her eyes shining with a mixture of awe and guilt. Later, as the crisis settled and the building returned to normal, Mira walked back to the lobby. Lyra hurried after her. She took a deep breath and spoke in a voice Mira had not heard from her before, soft, honest, and humble. Mira, Lyra said, I am sorry. I judged you without knowing anything about you. I mocked your clothes because I thought they meant something about your worth. But today, I saw what you can do, and I was wrong. Mira smiled gently. It is all right. Many people judge quickly. Lyra shook her head. No, it was not right. But thank you for being kind. She hesitated, then added, If you ever need help, I will be there. Mira nodded softly. When she finished her work for the day, Mira stepped outside the building again. The stars above shone brighter than before, and the cool evening air felt refreshing. She looked up at the sky and felt something warm grow inside her chest. She had come from a simple background. She had worn simple clothes. She had been mocked on her first day. But none of that had stopped her. She had proven her worth through skill, patience, and heart. Inside the building, Commander Eric watched her through the transparent wall. He smiled. I knew it, he whispered to himself. I knew she had something special. Mira walked down the quiet street with a calm and proud heart, knowing that her new journey had truly begun. She had earned her place not because of her appearance, but because of her ability, her courage, and her kindness. And in a galaxy full of advanced species, a small human girl had become the unexpected hero of the day.